What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Take 3 podcast. Little 1 week break due to the holidays. Obviously, Christmas over the weekend, travel and stuff. Didn't get to fire out some episodes last week like we hoped, but we just keep it moving as always. Brandon here with my guy Alex. It's now Tuesday. We're coming off of 2 weeks of football that we digest. We're only really going to talk about week 16, but a lot of stuff happened even in week 15. The landscape kind of changed a lot. Obviously, the Ravens losing every quarterback on the roster now to go along with every other player put them in a bad spot. But then we just saw week 16 unravel. We watched the Cardinals continue to stumble. We watched San Fran kind of Jimmy G choke away a game in Tennessee that they probably should have won, to be honest. We see Buffalo kind of reassert their dominance in the AFC. So everybody was high on New England. I was pretty high on New England. And then it's like all of a sudden 2 straight losses. They're kind of back to where you would see them at, where you would think they would be at with a rookie quarterback. Colts continue to charge. Obviously, Carson Wentz test positive for COVID today. We don't know if he'll play this week. So that's super interesting going forward. The Chargers lay an egg. Tom Brady gets it back going again, beats up on Carolina, but everybody beats up on Carolina. Joe Burrow, shout out to him, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think he threw a 5th one, but it got taken off the board. We watched the Russell Wilson era and the Pete Carroll era kind of really hit a dark stage, losing to Nick Foles. And then, we watched the Chiefs keeping it going. We'll talk about them to kind of lead this off. But I mean, it's been a week. How are we feeling? Obviously, we did not record anything, but we did make our picks last week. But hey, it's good to get back in here, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Good to be back. Feeling good. I had 2 good weeks in a row. I'm above 500 heading into the end of this season. That was my season-long goal. Eagles are in the wild card picture right now, and they have control of their own destiny. So I'm feeling good about football right now. I got nothing to really complain about. I'm happy.
Facts. I mean, let's just jump straight into it. First thing on the forum for today, we watched the Kansas City Chiefs. They keep it going. They're now 11-4. It's crazy to think about them. They were once 3-4. We were writing them off. Said this isn't the year. This isn't the year. It's just not going to be it. And then suddenly the defense comes out of nowhere. The offense is kind of starting to figure it out a little bit. They had a good week this week against a pretty good defense in the Steelers, right? They just beat up on them, right? The Steelers rolled in. I took the Steelers 8.5. I was like, hey, the Steelers will probably lose, but maybe they'll come out and put up a fight. Big Ben flies the whole family out. He lays an egg, 159 yards, 1 touchdown and a pick. Absolute garbage. They just had nothing on offense, and then the Chiefs they had everything going. Patrick Mahomes, clinic, once again, 23 of 30, 258, 3 touchdowns, no picks when he plays clean games. They look good. Not much really out of the run game. Obviously, they lost Clyde Edwards-Helaire's shoulder, but I realized that is not serious. So he should be back probably for the playoffs. They probably shut him down for the rest of the regular season, I'd imagine. And then I guess it was the Byron Pringle game, right? 6 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, no Travis Kelce due to COVID, but it was a quiet day out of Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's crazy just to look at the Chiefs now. Like, would you consider them the Super Bowl favorite as of right now? Obviously, we saw the Bucs, the Packers are in there, the Rams are hanging around, the Cowboys are, along with the teams in the AFC as well. But I mean, how are we feeling about the Chiefs? They're suddenly they're back. I believe they're the Super Bowl betting favorites. Everything is back in business over there. What's it? 10 straight wins, 9 straight wins. It's a ridiculous streak for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes to really get this thing back steering straight.
Yeah, after about 2 months of the season, it looked like the Chiefs were a wild card team at best. I'm pretty sure I said they're going to be a wild card team because it looked like the Chargers were looking really well. And then here we are. The Chiefs are back on top. They are the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl, like you said. And yeah, they got to be Super Bowl favorites, right? I don't know if I would necessarily put them as favorites to win because to me it's them and Green Bay, and I think Vegas has them both plus 400 to win the Super Bowl. So the State Farm Bowl is looking more and more real. I would definitely say they're the favorites to win the AFC. Call me crazy, but I think the second best team in the AFC, at least just being hot right now, is the Colts. They've looked fantastic. I just don't like the other AFC teams. I feel like I don't know what I'm going to get every week and week out with these elite ones, whether – well, now Cincinnati, because Baltimore's banged up, so it'd be Cincinnati or Buffalo or New England or Tennessee's starting to get healthy. So, you never know. But as of right now, it's clearly the Kansas City Chiefs. They look like they are a step above everyone else in the AFC, and they look like they're the favorite to represent the AFC. I wouldn't pick them necessarily over Green Bay. I think those two are clearly the 2 favorites right now. But for to represent the AFC, yeah, you got to go with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs right now. They've just played so well. And once again, offensive explosion. No Travis Kelce, quiet Tyreek Hill game. That's very telling to me. You do it without those two guys, and that defense has been humming. Ooh, look out. Here come the Chiefs.
Yeah, their defense obviously impressive again. They're doing the thing, and then when the offense can get you points, and Patrick Mahomes can put 3 touchdowns on the board, and then you find a rushing touchdown before Edwards-Helaire gets hurt. Everything's firing at the right time, right? Maybe they just needed to struggle early to kind of give them a reality check and get things back straight. Yeah, they're definitely, I'd say in the AFC, I'm kind of leaning back. Bills is the second best team. I can't really buy into the Colts just because of Carson Wentz. It's like they're one team that's like that 4-5 wild card team. Like nobody wants to play them, but I ultimately think like Carson Wentz will cost them at some point because it's not going to be just the Jonathan Taylor show in the playoffs. I would imagine. So it's like if Josh Allen can play how he did in that huge game against New England, which we'll kind of get into in a little bit, like I'm kind of leaning back on them, but obviously Josh Allen, they come out and look like dog shit. So yeah, I mean, they are a step ahead of everybody, I would say, in the AFC as well. I mean, maybe Tennessee could get interesting if Derrick Henry comes back and kind of revitalizes them. But I mean, until that happens, they're not there. They could get knocked off in the wild card round as a 2 seed, which would be crazy to see. But the Chiefs, I mean, what a turnaround, right? If you're a Chiefs fan, you got to be happy with the team that we kept saying wild card team to now probably be the 1 seed and a clear favorite to represent the AFC. It's what a turn of events, I'd say, over the past 2 months.
And the Chiefs actually have which we'll talk about in the preview episode, but they have a really interesting matchup this Sunday in Cincinnati against the Bengals, who are coming off hot. So, like, I don't know, the AFC has been weird enough. If the Chiefs come out and rout the Bengals or like look really good and take care of business, it's going to be almost impossible to argue anyone against the Chiefs.
Exactly. And then tidbit on Pittsburgh, Big Ben, call it quits, man. That flea flicker throw was like one of the worst throws I've ever seen, man. That was a wobbler through the air in KC. That was a horrible throw. So he just doesn't have it. My man flew the whole family out and got absolutely embarrassed. To say 30-0 at one point. Yeah, might be time to hang it up. But I don't know why I keep hearing multiple Steelers fans say fire Tomlin. Give me a name that's gonna come in and he's gonna get you right around the playoffs every single year. There's no name out there, right? Like, don't tell me that Eric Bieniemy could come in and they're guaranteed to win 9-10 games a year, because they're not. You don't know what Eric Bieniemy would be as a head coach, right? You know what Mike Tomlin is, and I think it's more of get him a quarterback, right? I don't know if any coach. I don't know. Give Andy Reid Ben Roethlisberger, and I think you'd be seeing the same 7-7 garbage squad, right? It's just you can't do much when the quarterback's that bad.
And I'm really glad you brought that point up, because I was actually going to say let's give credit to Mike Tomlin for bringing this football team to 7-7-1, because man, this offense has just struggled so much. Big Ben doesn't have it. So, like, yeah, there's definitely a faction of Steeler fans out there that believe Mike Tomlin should be fired, but I'm with you, dude. I don't think you can find a better coach than Mike Tomlin. He tends to have a winning season every year. They haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. I know expectations were high and those like Bumblebee when they had all the weapons, right? But I don't know. I think Mike Tomlin's a damn good coach, and he should get a lot of credit for having this team at 7-7-1.
Yeah, I mean, you have him trotting out there with 38-year-old beat up old man. Like, it just doesn't have it, right? He just doesn't have the zip on the ball anymore. It's tough for anybody to win games with him, right? It's heavy running, and then you got to pray the defense gets turnovers. And when you're facing a Chiefs team, or you're facing any top team in the AFC that's really getting it together at a playoff time, it's going to be hard to force turnovers, because they're just not going to gift you. They're not going to gift you points and extra possessions.
Also, that Steelers defense is very good still, but they're not quite elite like they were the last year or two.
Yeah, they've tailed off a
sure.
little bit, but it's hard to carry that offense for an entire season, to be fair. Like, they were good. Obviously their the real downfall was that Vikings game when they literally opened up the saloon door and let the Vikings run all over them. But yeah, I mean, I'll give them a little bit of a slack, because it's hard to carry that offense that's that bad for an entire season.
That's a damn good point. You can only play so many snaps when Big Ben just goes 3 and out over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. So, yeah, I mean, Chiefs, keep it going. Steelers, you're probably done. Find a quarterback. You've had about 4 years to draft one. It's about time to do it this year, right? Kenny Pickett's right there from Pittsburgh. Bring him in. There's your guy.
Ooh.
And you can call me next week and I could be the GM if you need it. I'm free. You can call me in for an interview this week. I'm free.
There's a couple big name quarterbacks that I'm sure they'll take a shot at. I don't know if they'll land anyone, but there should be a couple big names in the free agency.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. They're really they're like an old school medieval age franchise the way they operate. So shit, I couldn't tell you what they would do. I could see them doing that right over going with a rookie quarterback. If I was being honest, right? They don't seem like a team that would want to go with a rookie. But
well, the two big names supposedly, if things don't go well and Green Bay doesn't win, would be Aaron Rodgers and then Russell Wilson for Seattle. They're probably looking for new teams, but I mean, hey, you never know, right?
Facts. Yeah, it's a story to wait and see. So we'll wait and see what the Steelers have going for them in the offseason. Let's keep it moving. We got another team that's kind of on the other side, the NFC, that's kind of really fell off. And we sat there, I think 3 weeks ago, when we were saying, is it time to start trusting the Cardinals? I think it was leading into the Rams game, to be honest, the home Monday Night Football Rams game. I think we both went with them, if I'm not mistaken. We both rolled with them. We were like, yeah, it's time to trust them, right? And I even said they went, like, Cliff Kingsbury might be legit. He went 2-1 with Colt McCoy. He's got Kyler back. Kyler seems healthy. And then obviously they lose DeAndre Hopkins. They lose James Conner, didn't play this week. And they're 10-5, 3-game losing streak. One of those losses to the Lions. They lost this weekend at home to the Colts. It's just ugly for the Cardinals. And it's kind of the Cardinals team that we questioned for many, many weeks. We're saying, when is this team? This is kind of the last year's Cardinals coming back. And we just didn't expect it because they found ways to get it done when Kyler was hurt. And we said, hey, maybe they've turned the page. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury has turned the page, but obviously they haven't turned the page. They're now 10-5. They probably aren't going to win the NFC West after they pretty much had it lock stock, to be honest. I think they were heavy favorite. I think they were like -500, -700 to win the division. They choked that away. I mean, what do you make of this Cardinals collapse? We're kind of saying that maybe Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have it figured out, might be a little overrated. And I don't know, I guess they were really fool's gold. They really fooled us for 13 weeks, which is crazy to think about, that they let us on. And then they just have this absolute downfall, which obviously started with that Monday night home loss to the Rams with some ugly turnovers, and it just lingered into that Lions game. And then Kapow this week, Carson Wentz. It was crazy to see them as well, right? The two games we said, yeah, they'll get one of those, right? They'll win one of those, the Patriots and Cardinals game.
They got both.
Yeah, and they get both of them. So it's a shout out to those guys. But I mean, what do you make of the Cardinals? I don't know what to make of them. They seem toast. They seem headed towards a wild card weekend loss. And yeah, I think you got to sit back if you're Cardinals brass and say, is Cliff Kingsbury really the guy? I believe it's year 3, right? It's got to be I think it's year 3. Yeah. So, yeah, what do you make of the Cardinals?
Yeah, Arizona is one of those teams I've been incredibly wrong about basically this whole season. I had them going into this year, finishing towards the bottom of their division. They obviously flipped that. And then their first matchup against the Rams, where they beat the Rams pretty good in LA, I was all over the Rams for that one. They made me look foolish, and then I started buying Arizona a little bit. All of a sudden, they're 10-2. Like you said, they get a big Monday night rematch against the Rams. They already beat them. I loved Arizona going into that game. I think the spread was less than a touchdown. Arizona had been rolling. The Rams were kind of looking a little shaky, and then all of a sudden, the scripts flipped really hard. The Rams have looked good, and Arizona is just falling apart, right? We talked about in the preview of the season, we were worried about Kyler's health and Cliff Kingsbury because we saw them start really well last year. Then they kind of teetered off and faded away, and Kyler got all beat up. This year, they managed to win when Kyler sat, so I was really sold on him. I thought, okay, here we go. Kyler's coming back healthy, and then I can't really explain all the offensive struggles. Like, yeah, you're missing DeAndre Hopkins, but they have enough weapons all around. They didn't have James Conner against the Colts, but Chase Edmonds is still there. You still have Kyler. You got Zach Ertz, AJ Green, Christian Kirk. I don't really understand all the offensive struggles. Like, it's not that big of a deal to lose to the Los Angeles Rams or the Indianapolis Colts. Those are playoff teams. They're very good football teams. We kind of expected those games to be close, right? But then all of a sudden they go to Detroit and they only score 12 points. They lose 30-12. It's one thing to Well, you have no business losing to the Lions as a 10-win team, right? But not only do they lose, they only score 12 points. I don't really know where to pinpoint the struggles. I guess Cliff Kingsbury and the coaching staff, right, not having the team ready. Because last year, at least as a scapegoat, you could pin it on, well, Kyler's beat up. He's clearly not running like he used to. The offense isn't as dynamic. But now Kyler just came off injury. Like, he's healthy. He's rested up. And the offense doesn't look that dynamic. They don't look that good. Yes, you lost Hopkins, but I already named all the weapons. They had plenty of guys. So I don't really know what the explanation is for why this Cardinals offense is sputtering so hard, but they better figure it out fast. Or yeah, it's a wild card exit. And I don't know if Cliff recovers if they go 10-2, the 1 seed at NFC, to finishing with maybe 11 wins and a wild card exit. That's going to be hard in the exit interview to explain. It brings me back to the Chip Kelly. He was like 9-6 or 9-3 at one point, and then finished with 10 wins. He lost the last like 4 or 5. It's a similar collapse to me. The teams are talented. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint what's really going wrong with that offense. So I gotta put the blame mainly on Cliff Kingsbury and the coaching staff.
Exactly. When you start out that well and the start was ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You pretty much hit it on the head. I mean, he's an offensive genius, right? It's the same boat as like Kyle Shanahan. When you call these guys offensive geniuses and then they have all the weapons, Kyler's there. He's the ultimate weapon at quarterback, even breaking that huge run on Christmas night against the Colts, which was pretty explosive. Yeah. I don't know what to make of it. It's like they still have enough guys out there, right? Chase Edmonds, still usable. Zach Ertz is serviceable. Obviously, he's older, but he's still serviceable in the pass game. You still have Christian Kirk. I don't know. They have the
Rondale Moore, AJ Green.
Yeah, I don't even know if Rondale Moore played. He didn't have a target or a catch. Yeah, I don't even know.
I'm sorry I cut you off, but that's another thing because he was so explosive the first half of the season. They were getting him in really cool situations and just get the ball in his hands. You see him do fun stuff. He's not touching the football offensively anymore either. So I don't know what's going on.
Exactly. They should have worked him more out of the backfield. He's super, super explosive. They also have Andy Isabella, Massachusetts wide receiver. He's fast as hell too. So they have enough guys. I mean, the defense is good enough. Obviously, they lost JJ Watt, but they still have Chandler Jones out there. So I don't know what to make of them. I was pretty surprised, even though I did go Colts +1 on Christmas night. Coming off that Lions loss, I was quite surprised that they came out, and obviously Matt Prater kicked like shit. But I was surprised that the Cardinals lost on Christmas night, to be honest, coming off of a Lions loss. Like, it's just, that is the ultimate slap in the face. And yeah, I don't know what you say if you're Cliff Kingsbury. It's now year 3 and you kind of had everything tailor-made. You survived the Kyler injury, he comes back, and then you fumbled the bag when he comes back, right? You would assume they fumbled the bag when Colt McCoy is playing quarterback, but it's the opposite way around. Obviously, the DeAndre Hopkins injury doesn't help, but I mean, you got to be able to work through it. Every team has injuries. It's week 16, 17, 18 of the season. Everybody's dealing with some type of injury. Look at the Titans. They literally lost their biggest weapon in Derrick Henry, and they're finding ways to eke out games against playoff teams. So I don't know. There's really no excuse for the Cardinals. Like, I don't know. They're looking, it's bad. It's like almost, I don't know what to say. It's almost like I would say right now, would you take this? I'm going to sound like a homer, but would you take Nick Siriani or Cliff Kingsbury? Like, I think I take Nick Siriani. I mean, he has less weapons to work with and obviously a lesser quarterback. And he's still finding ways to adjust and win ball games. When you watch a guy in Cliff Kingsbury just look lost out there.
Yeah, I'll buy that, considering Sirianni's quarterback is not as good as Kyler at all. But it just, like, to me, like, we putting the blame on Kingsbury as it should be, because, like, it just feels like the team is not prepared to play. Like, they're making mental mistakes. They're playing sloppy. You have Kyler Murray talking about after the game, we got to look in the mirror. We got to just play better and stop making those mistakes. When it's things like that, those are the explanations. It just feels like we never hear that from the Patriots or Bill Belichick, right? Like, he keeps that team ready to play. It just seems like Cliff doesn't have that team ready to play. He doesn't have the details all tied up, and you need the details tied up at this point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. He's a young, like, swaggy coach. He was never really great in college either. When he was at Texas Tech, he was never really a great coach. He was kind of just like,
he had Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he was just like the swag coach. Like, he always, like, everybody bought into that. But yeah, I don't know. He's kind of crumbling, and I think the Cardinals, I mean, I don't think they'll fire him, even though I wouldn't be surprised if they fired him. Same with like Matt Rule in Carolina, like similar situation. Like, I don't know, when you come out with a Jay-Z line, like at least Kingsbury didn't use a Jay-Z 7 years, didn't take 7 years. Like, you don't get 7 years in the NFL, man. You get by year 3 if you're not getting it done. We'll see. Like if they get embarrassed in the playoffs, they're slated right now. They would go on the road to play Tampa if the season ended right now. So yeah, they would draw that. They had everything set up and they kind of they just pissed it away, right? It's kind of how you see it. I really think they truly pissed it away. I think they were in such a good spot.
They had a full game lead on Tampa Bay and Green Bay.
Yeah, and then they had home game, division rival home game, and then I don't know, Lions, and then this loss. Yeah, so I mean, sucks to suck Kingsbury, sucks to suck Cardinals. You guys are back. Like you guys came out of the woodwork. We didn't see it coming this year, but you never fail to amaze us. But yeah, I mean that's all I got on the Cardinals. Get it together. I mean, you gotta try to salvage it. Going over to the AFC side, a team that kind of put it back together, big division game in Foxborough. Josh Allen kind of goes back to MVP form against Mac Jones, McCorkle Jones, and the Patriots. 30-47, 314, 3 touchdowns, no picks. What a game. He had 12 carries as well. Devin Singletary adds a touchdown. I mean, what do you know? It's the same thing like in Kansas City when Patrick Mahomes plays clean football, doesn't turn the ball over. They look good and win when Josh Allen doesn't turn the football over. The Bills actually look good and win. And I stupidly went with the Patriots, realizing that like how often are like teams that are this close, like skill wise, going to sweep the other team. Like same thing with the Cardinals and the Rams. Like it doesn't happen. The sweeps don't happen. McCorkle was pretty bad. $145, 2 picks. He's kind of the past 2 weeks, right? The Colts game dating back to last week, he was pretty bad in that. Damian Harris, though, 18 carries, 103 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That man had himself a day, but you really can't overcome mediocre quarterback playing a big division game when Josh Allen's going to turn back the clock into MVP form. And I mean, it looks like the Buffalo Bills they'll win the AFC East. They finish up with the Falcons and the Jets. I doubt they pull a Cardinals and lose one of those. I mean, it could happen, but it's like I highly doubt they do that, and that'll send that'll send Bill Belichick his little post-game press conference when they asked him about his New Year's resolution. He was pretty pissed about the game. It seemed he wasn't too happy. What do you make of this? I mean, the Bills, Josh Allen, if he can look this good coming down the stretch, the final 3 games, obviously, final 2 games now, but I'm including this one the past weekend. Can they make some noise? Obviously, they have enough talent on the offensive side. They just need Josh Allen to not turn the rock over, and they could easily make a run at this thing and maybe match up with the Chiefs again in the AFC title game. What are you feeling on the Bills? And is it time to kind of pull back a little bit on the Patriots and realize that this is a team with a rookie quarterback, and it might take them maybe next year they'll really be able to make a run. They're kind of getting hit by COVID, which we'll talk about on the defensive side. But I mean, it's just a tough past 2 games for Mac Jones. Kind of it happens when you're a rookie. He was kind of exceeding everybody's expectation. And now they're sitting at 9-6. But what do you make of the Bills? And then how do you feel about the Patriots going forward?
Yeah, the Patriots going forward, my opinion's not really changed. I think I feel good about them still. I like Mac Jones. So he hasn't played well the last few weeks. Maybe he's hitting a bit of a rookie wall. It's towards the end of the season. I think we forget that like they're human. So it's like he just did a national championship season at Alabama. He finishes that. Then he's got to, train and get ready for the draft and do all that. Then you get drafted. And then there's no real break really from like your into your college year to through your first season at NFL. It's just constant high level football all the time, especially when you go from Alabama to New England. And I think that's just a really long time. I think Mac Jones could be just kind of getting burned out a little bit towards the end of this year. This is also the longest, hardest football season of his life, considering he's never been a pro before. So I just think there's levels to it, and he's a human, right? And he's just a rookie quarterback. I think he's still very good, very smart, makes good throws. He hasn't played well, but I think New England still has a really bright future. Like I would still be high on them going into next year, and they still have a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. It doesn't look likely, but they still have a chance. So Oh no, I still think it's positive things for New England. And once again, you still have Bill Belichick as your coach. But for the Buffalo side, I mean, it helps Josh Allen a ton when the wind's not going like 30, 40 miles per hour, right? Like the first matchup. Uh, I went into the first matchup and I got both of these picks, right? I picked New England the first time and I picked Buffalo this time, but not because like I actually broke down the game. I just thought these two teams are damn good and they're going to split with each other. And since New England won the first one and the wind, which really messes up the Bills' offense, considering Josh Allen threw it 47 times, that's like a normal day for Josh Allen and the Bills. So when you can't really throw and be efficient, they're gonna struggle. So I'm not terribly surprised at the outcomes. I thought they would split. I still like Buffalo. I still feel like they're a step behind Kansas City, just like last year. It's kind of funny that this season's had so many ups and downs, but here we are at the end of the year. And if we're talking about the Bills, the Chiefs, and then the other side, Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Yes, there's a couple other teams involved this year, but here we are with those same four again. And I like Buffalo. They have all the ability in the world to get it done. I would not pick them over the Chiefs, and I'm not sure they make the AFC Championship game this year. It's just going to depend on matchups. But if you're the Bills, you feel good, right? You reclaim your division. Which is a big deal considering 9-6. They probably thought they'd have a bit of a better record this year, but I think a lot of good things to hang their hat on. They found a bit of a running game these last 2 weeks with Devin Singletary, not much, but it's been way better. And I think that's a huge piece for them moving into the playoffs. So hopefully they can build on the Devin Singletary touches because they seem to have just decided on him being the lead back, which I think could be a good thing because the one thing Buffalo doesn't really have is a strong run game. And you kind of need that for a little bit of playoff football. So I think the Bills are going in the right direction at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time. Josh Allen, biggest game probably of the season for them to turn it back and play a mistake-free game. They found a way to get Stephon Diggs the ball. Isaiah McKenzie also had a day, man. 11 catches, $125 and a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down. A lot of these playoff games, it's all going to come down to matchups. But I think just when I look at a team and if Josh Allen can play like that, I will take them over any of the other teams, not named the Kansas City Chiefs. Like the Colts, I don't trust Carson Wentz. Obviously, Titans, I do not trust Ryan Tannehill without Derrick Henry. It's just like they're the logical team. For me, Cincinnati, I don't trust them. They're a ticking time bomb. They'll look great and then implodes. I think, yeah, the Bills, I mean, if Josh Allen can play mistake-free football down the stretch heading into the playoffs, they're in a good spot. And then if their defense can force a couple turnovers like they did this weekend, they're in a good position to make a run, maybe match up with the Chiefs again. I don't think they'll beat the Chiefs. I don't think as you said, I think they're still a step behind. And then, yeah, I mean, the Patriots, they got a chance. They finish up. They get the Jags this week. That's a bye week. I don't expect them at home to pull the Cardinals and like lose to the Jags. The Jags are abysmal. And then they always get that weird at Miami game to finish the end of the year. Miami's actually playing like super good football now. Shout out to Tua. So, I mean, they got a good shot. I mean, they can go, what is it? It'd be 11 and they went out to 11-6. I would say 10-7. I think they will lose that, or did they lose the first matchup to Miami? Is the first game of the year, 17-16 fluke game. So it's going to be a close one. I don't know. I'd probably put them at 10-7. But yeah, I mean, it's a big picture there for them, right? It's only Mac Jones' first year. He's shown you good flashes. The running game's shown you good flashes. You invested so much money in that defense and it's kind of paid off. And now we're seeing like the COVID stuff get super weird and knock guys out. But yeah, I mean, they can obviously, I think the Patriots are a team that they could beat anybody when you have Bill Belichick and you have Josh McDaniels. And Mac Jones, when he's actually playing good football and not turning the ball over, they could beat any team, but I definitely think it's a bigger picture thing. And I mean, you definitely like what you got out of Mac and to get into the playoffs with him in a rookie year where it was going to be, we didn't even know if he was going to start, right? Because it looked like Cam Newton. And then Mac Jones comes in, does his thing. So super interesting, big picture for the Patriots. We'll see what they can do. They're still dangerous. They're like the Colts, very similar to the Colts. Just with a rookie quarterback instead of Carson Wentz. I'd almost probably trust the Patriots more than the Colts just because I, for some reason, trust Mac Jones a lot more than I trust Carson Wentz, to be honest. But yeah, the Bills are getting it going a little bit. I don't trust them either. But I think just when you look at the pecking list of the teams in the AFC, if you're going to pick a two to Kansas City, it would have to be them. If Josh Allen can not play in 50-mile-per-hour winds and not throw the ball to the other team.
I hear you on the mistake-free football, and like Carson Wentz is probably going to make a mistake. I said that against the New England. I said that going into the New England game and said he'll probably throw a pick or fumble. He did that, and they still won. It's hard to not buy the Colts for me as like outside of the Kansas City Chiefs right now, just because no other AFC team has looked great. And the fact that the Colts beat New England and Arizona back to back is big to me because we kept saying they were going to split them. I'm just very high on Indianapolis right now. I'm sure Carson Wentz, like he's done many times in his career, will find a way for me to be disappointed in him in the end. But I don't know, man. I'm very high on the Colts, probably a little too high.
Yeah, he is going to throw it away. I promise. In 3 weeks, when he throws it away or he gets hurt, pick one of the two. He'll either throw it away or he won't even finish the game. I just don't see the Jonathan Taylor festival. Because if McCorkle was halfway decent, if McCorkle played decent against the Colts and didn't, the Patriots probably win that game.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know. It was like 52 yards out of Carson Wentz in that Patriots game. I don't know. It's just like, I love Jonathan Taylor. I love Frank Reich, but it's like, you're going to put the ball in Carson Wentz's hands. And I can't. I'm going to take Josh Allen over Carson Wentz.
I get it.
Any day of the week. But yeah, I mean, that once again goes back to there's like a clear separation between Kansas City. Kansas City's sitting pretty.
Yeah.
And they were once a 3-4 wild card at best squad. And they're now levels ahead of the playing field. That kind of gets us into the AFC wild card really as a whole, because it really took shape even more the past 2 weeks, because we missed last week. When you look at it, you got, what is it? Baltimore still in there. You got, who else? You got, obviously Buffalo and New England are still in there. The Colts are still in there. The Chargers. I mean, should we discuss the Chargers, how bad they fumbled the bag?
Man.
10-point favorites opening line. It goes up to 12.5. And they just get smacked by Davis Mills. It was like, I don't know. The Chargers, they're another team that's like disappointing, because I said 2 weeks ago, the Chargers are a lock. They're going to be in the playoffs for sure. You don't have to worry about that. And then, I mean, they're looking like they're looking like they're not even going to get in. It's that crazy. I mean, we obviously went off the schedule, right? We said, yeah, they'll play the Texans. They'll beat the Texans. And then, yeah, they just didn't. I mean, Ravens are 8-7. We got the logjam. The Ravens are 8-7. The Raiders 8-7. Chargers 8-7. Dolphins 8-7. Dolphins 7-game win streak. The only team that have a 7-game losing streak and a 7-game win streak in 1 year. They're continuing to like rise up out of nowhere. Their O-line still concerns me at the end of the day. But I mean, you gotta mention them. There's that logjam, and I mean, what do you make of the AFC wild card picture right now with the Ravens? Kind of, they're trending possibly out. Like, I don't know if they need Lamar Jackson to somehow show up these next 2 weeks to kind of find some magic, or they're looking to be out too. The Chargers, though, I mean, we can talk about the Chargers. They're just a disgrace of a team, I would say.
What an embarrassing performance on Sunday to lose to that Houston team. You're 12-point favorites and you lose by 12 instead. I mean, yeah, we all said the Chargers were locked for the wild card spot because you look at their schedule. Obviously, Houston was going to be winning. Then they finish it with Denver and Las Vegas, 2 division games, which are both very winnable. So it's like, I don't know. The Chargers aren't technically dead yet, but like, I want them to be dead since they lost to the Texans. Like, they almost don't deserve to be in the playoffs because you lose to Houston when you're 12-point favorites like that and you have Herbert and the boys. Yeah, there were some injuries. There's no Eckler and stuff, but like, I don't really see how that happens. You cannot allow that to happen. That is, I mean, we're going in really hard on Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals against the Lions. This is like just as bad to me with this Chargers team and the Texans. I mean, at least Brandon Staley, rookie head coach, and Herbert and them are all young, inexperienced, weren't ready to play, whatever excuses you want to throw out there, but inexcusable. I mean, I don't know what to do with this Chargers team, ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team. And I think the most frustrating part about them being Jekyll and Hyde is that like they're relatively healthy and their team is so damn talented. So like same with like Arizona. So it's like, what are they doing? It's hard to actually explain what's going on with them.
I don't know. I was done with the Chargers when I had them 3.5 against the Chiefs. There was 2 minutes left. They're up 7, and then they let 14 points up in like 5 real minutes and lose in overtime. I was like, all right, well, they're trash. Like they literally just let that happen at home. I find it super interesting that when you look at the AFC, there's 6 playoff berths available. So only the Chiefs are in. So there's 6 spots up for grabs still in the AFC side. In the NFC side, you only have the 2. You got obviously the Packers clinched the division, Cowboys clinched division, Buccaneers clinched the division. You have the Cardinals and the Rams both clinched playoff spots. I just love how there's literally we don't know, right? It's going to come down to the next 2 weeks over in that AFC, and it's really going to be a shuffle to see where everybody finishes up and what matchups we get in the first round, because obviously we're going to assume that the Chiefs handle business and they'll be the 1 seed and get. Obviously, there's only 1 bye this year too, which makes it super interesting to move into the new format where only the 1 seed gets the bye. So I mean, it's going to be a lot of shuffling over the next 2 weeks in that AFC wildcard picture, and then
also there's quite a few division games in the last 2 weeks too. So like Dolphins and Patriots play each other, Chargers, Raiders. So like it's going to be a lot of coin flips. I know the Browns Bengals will play to end the year, and technically that could be for it. Cause like if Cincinnati loses to Kansas City and then Cleveland wins, you're talking 9-7, 8-8 heading into that game. So like it's going to get dicey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, if Baker doesn't throw off the back foot, I guess we can close up with that. Like, is it time for the Browns to just punt on Baker, like going into the offseason? It seems like they're like headed towards a split. Like, he's just so bad. Like, I don't know. There's people that defend him. Like, I know a friend that defends him, but I'm just like, he's that bad. He throws every ball off the back foot. I don't care about the harness thing. If you're hurt, don't show up, right? Yep. You could have got the surgery weeks ago and you basically would have got a free pass, right? They would have said he got hurt. Like, all right, this year it's another wash, come back next year. But no, what did he do? He decided to put the harness on and show up. And this is what you get. And he's just been atrocious, right? Not number 1 pick material. Is it time for the Browns? It sounds weird because he's been like the most successful like Browns quarterback in a while, probably in my lifetime, like just thinking about it. But is it time for them to think about punting? I don't even know where you'd go. I mean, maybe you swing for Deshaun Watson. Maybe you try to convince Aaron Rodgers to come to Cleveland and join that stacked roster. The roster would be pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, what do the Browns do with Baker? Is they're sliding out. They're in 12th. They're the 12th spot right now, 7-8. Obviously another tough loss, 24-22 to the Packers on Christmas Day. What did the Browns do with Baker?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've never been high on Baker. I didn't really think he should be the number 1 pick. And even when he was playing good football, some people were saying it's great. I was never that sold. He clearly has the ability at times to make the throws, but man, he just makes poor decisions. And I've never been a fan of like his personality or his attitude. I think it works well in Cleveland, the chip on the shoulder, all that jazz. But like we said, it's a contract year. You don't get bonus points for playing hurt. It is not Big 12 football against like losers like Texas and all these other teams that don't really play defense at all. This is the NFL. You can't get away with that. And you're in such a tough position because this Browns roster is so good on paper. There's no reason why you can rush for 200 yards in an NFL game and you should be losing. The only reason is Baker's your quarterback. He throws 4 picks. Exactly. I mean, it's just so hard. And like, yeah, you could swing. I doubt you get Aaron Rodgers convinced to go to Cleveland. Russell Wilson, I doubt is going to want to go to Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, maybe, I don't know. And then the draft class is not great. So like I don't want to use the word stuck because they're not necessarily stuck. There's definitely moves you can make, but it's kind of risky, right? Because Baker is very much middle of the road. Like he's a starter, but he's not like that good. So it's like, you don't want to downgrade, obviously. You're kind of in win now mode based off that roster, just like talent wise. So like, I don't have a good answer for Cleveland. They're kind of stuck right now. I definitely want to give them a big contract. That's for sure. That's the obvious one, right? But outside of that, I don't know because there's no like clear, surefire, better replacements to me.
Exactly. Yeah, I've never been a Baker guy either. Like I think the commercials are trash. They're not funny. You should probably do less of them. Like less of them. I didn't get the big commercial gig, and then you play like shit, and the commercials just look stupid. I wasn't even like a huge fan at Oklahoma. I mean, I get the swag thing. That's why people like him. He's like that bravado type of guy. But yeah, I mean, they are stuck, right? I think they picked up his 5th-year option for next year. So he would play under that. And that's what that seems like the most likely move, I would say, because it's like, I don't know if they're going to be willing to go all in and swing for a quarterback, or even be able to convince one of the quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson to waive a no trade, Aaron Rodgers to even come to Cleveland. It's like, why? Yeah, like, I don't know why he would come to Cleveland. I don't think that's the move. And then Russell Wilson as well. I don't see Sierra living in. She's not going to live in Cleveland, right? If it's New York or Cleveland, she's not living in Cleveland. Like, let's just be honest. So yeah, they are. They're stuck. I think they can go with the easy excuse, the hurt shoulder. It's left on the table, right? This season, a lot was left on the table. They can use the hurt shoulder excuse and fire it up next year. But yeah, they don't have like an easy pivot. There's nothing. There's no easy move for them.
Yeah, and they're good enough. And like you said, there's enough that you could argue there's left on the table. We could come back and get better, win the division, be competing. But I mean, it's hard to sell it, right? Because like Cleveland's had so many bad years and they're finally like a good roster. So it's like the idea of going back to purgatory is not appealing, but then are going back to the bottom, but then you're kind of stuck in purgatory because like you're good but not great. I don't know. Tough situation. Baker's got that team very handcuffed on and off the field.
Exactly. And I would just challenge a Browns fan, if you listen to this and you want Baker gone, tell me the quarterback that's like the most logical guy, because there's really not one that's logical. You can't draft a quarterback that's taken a step back, because you're better off rolling with Baker, who has 4 years under his belt, instead of throwing a rookie quarterback into the with this roster. It's just not going to work. And it would take a lot of convincing to get a Watson, Wilson, or Rodgers to come to Cleveland. So they're handcuffed. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit less commercials, work on the skills this offseason, get the surgery, and come out and don't blame everything on Odell, right? They told me it was all Odell's fault. They even said this Packers game, they said the 4th interception was Odell's fault. And yeah, I don't know. The Browns, they're definitely stuck. And yeah, Baker's got them good. But yeah, you're spot on. I would not give a huge contract. Next year is really like a prove it year. I mean, obviously, if it doesn't work out, he'll probably get signed somewhere just because he's like good enough to start for a team in this league. When you got the Mike Lennons and the Jake Fromms of the world playing, he's good enough to find himself on a roster.
I mean, do you think Cleveland's record's that different if they started a backup somewhere? Like, you know, Case Keenum's around, there's a Nick Foles around, there's a Gardner Minshew around. I don't know if the team's record is that different if like all those guys are playing all those games.
It's probably the same. It's like average. Yeah, he's like average level QB play. So yeah, with that run game, yeah. I mean, they're probably right around 500, regardless, right? They probably should have just kept rolling with Keenum.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad about it.
No, you can run the rock, right? They can run the hell out of the ball with Nick Chubb and now Dearness Johnson, who's pretty damn good. But,
I have an interesting name that's probably not going to be with his team next year, Derek Carr.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah,
he's shown he can throw the ball. He's better than Baker.
Facts. Yeah, I just don't know if that's a move.
If it elevates you enough.
Yeah, I don't know if that really pushes. Yeah. It pushes the needle, right? Because Derek Carr is he's 1 win better. Obviously doesn't have their roster, but yeah, I don't know if Derek Carr pushes them that much further, but. Hey, that's another QB out there. He could be easier to convince than the other 3 guys that we mentioned. So that's if you'd obviously have to find a move there for a team that would want to take Baker in the offseason. That'd be it'd be interesting. They have big decisions too, because it's big money coming up, big money, and they kind of pissed away the year with letting him roll out there with that roster. But yeah, you got to figure it out. Last thing really on the, I guess if you wanted to talk about, what was it? We can roll into it, honestly. The Cowboys. Yeah. You mentioned, are we buying into the Cowboys? Obviously 56-14. They beat the piss out of the Washington football team, the McDonald's football club. They beat up on them pretty bad. Taylor Heineke, you know, I mean, guys told me that Tuesday night game that Taylor Heineke would have been the difference maker over Garrett Gilbert. I would say no, he was pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, are we buying in? They're now the 2 seed, right? They're only one game. Yeah, they're only one game out of the 1 seed, which is crazy to think. If somehow Aaron Rodgers and them fumbled the bag, which I doubt it, but yeah, I mean the Cowboys, you got to give them respect. That defense, the offense got anything they wanted, and that was kind of the Cowboys team. That's what they should look like, right? I mean the defense. They have some stars out there with Parsons, and then Trayvon Diggs obviously is an animal. And then when Dak Prescott, you paid him $75 million guaranteed, and he came out and gave you every little bit of it this week. Spread the ball around. So yeah, are you buying into the Cowboys? I kind of gave my ultimatum before we set in, is like they have the talent, but it's like I fully expect them to just do the classic Dallas Cowboys and find a way to piss it away. But I do like they have everything there. They have the defense that's playing good. Dan Quinn's really rebuilt that defense, made it a well-oiled machine in 1 year, which is that's pretty impressive, I would say, considering how bad they were last year. And then the offense, I mean, Kellen Moore, obviously he's drawing some head coaching interest around the league, and he's got that offense firing when Dak Prescott doesn't do stupid stuff, doesn't turn the ball over, and just uses the weapons that he have. They have every weapon on offense. So, I mean, are you buying into the Cowboys? Do you think they could make a push? You think they could upset and go to the Super Bowl? It make me sick to my stomach, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, God, nothing would make me happier if they get their ass kicked in the very first playoff game. But I am buying them, dude. I wouldn't be. It's not the craziest thing in the world to me if they represent the NFC. This is since they've been healthy offensively, it's been a minute. This was a first nice dominant performance. We always said about Dallas before this year that like the defense was shaky. Now all of a sudden you got defensive player of the year / rookie of the year, Micah Parsons, right? He's definitely in the conversation. You got Trayvon Diggs also in the conversation for defensive player of the year. So as we know, the defense has been balling, and Dallas scored in like every which way and manner against Washington. It was just such a good performance that I have to buy a little bit of stock in the Cowboys. Would I take them to win the NFC? No. I'm taking Green Bay, and I put Tampa Bay second for sure. But I would put Dallas. Dallas and the Rams are right there. I'd probably lean Dallas over the Rams. But yeah, I think they definitely earned their way back into the conversation, because considering when they were struggling outside of Denver, they were healthy. They just couldn't get anything going. Dak kind of came back from injury. It was a little weird. But outside of that one, like, every time they kind of struggled offensively, they weren't they didn't really have CeeDee Lamb, or they didn't have Pollard, or they didn't have Cooper, and now that, or Gallup, and now that they have everybody back, they're starting to roll again. And once again, we've already talked about that defense. So yeah, I have, unfortunately, regrettably, I have to buy some stock in the Cowboys. They're the third, maybe second best team in the NFC.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, when you have everything there and you play up to their potential, they could definitely make a run. I think it'd be a good matchup to see them face the Bucs again. Obviously, they played the Bucs tough
Open the
week
year.
1. Yeah, they played them to open the year. Tough game. Obviously, it'd be a tale they would honestly could maybe make a case that they're the favorite. With I mean, the Buccaneers are going to be without Godwin.
Yeah.
We don't know if Mike Evans is going to come back. We don't know if Leonard Fournette's going to come back. Since Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, they're kind of working with a skeleton crew of weapons. So I mean, yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I would be surprised if they won the NFC, to be honest, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the NFC title game and playing the Packers at Lambeau, which I think would be hilarious considering the whole Dez thing and like dating back to that. And they go back to Lambeau for another playoff game. Just give me a CeeDee Lamb controversial play. I think that would be hilarious. I'm going to give a team that I'm kind of think that could make some noise and pull an upset. And I said the other day in another group chat, if Elijah Mitchell can come back for the 49ers, they have Trey Lance coming in. Obviously, Jimmy G with the thumb thing. I think that the 49ers could upset the Rams if they played them round 1 to be. Right now, they're slated. It's a 6-3 matchup. I mean, the Rams won, but I was unimpressed. Like, I wasn't impressed with the Rams. They're 11-4, but I wasn't impressed. Matt Stafford chucked 3 picks. It was ugly. They ran Sony Michel into the ground. I mean, he had 27 carries, $131, but I don't know if I'm really hype on this Rams thing. I think it's one of those teams that brings in a ton of talent, and it's just going to eventually not work out. And then you have to question, like, your prized acquisition of the offseason was Matt Stafford. And he's trending like middle. He was so hot to start the year. And now he's kind of like leveled out and plateaued, and 3 picks against a Vikings team. I don't know if you like that. So I think that the 49ers, if they can get Elijah Mitchell healthy, and ready for that wild card round game. If that is the matchup, I feel like they could upset the Rams in the wild card round.
I'm right there with you. Out of the wild card teams, the two dark horses to me are in the AFC, Indianapolis, and in the NFC, San Francisco. I'm right there with you for all the points you made. I'm a little disappointed in San Francisco off that Thursday night loss to the Titans, and they kind of blew that one to me. Or AJ Brown came back and took it. So congrats to him first game back. That was a big game for him. But yeah, Niners disappointed me on Thursday, but I'm right there with you. They have all the tools. Their 8-7 record is deceptive. They didn't start off well. I thought they would be better. I like them more than the Cardinals right now. Like those teams are going in opposite directions. So yeah, I like the Niners pick. I'm there with you. And since we're talking about wild card matchups, that means we're going to get if things hold right now, we'll get a Eagles Cowboys round 3, and I'm not very excited about it.
No, I would not be. Yeah, I would not be. That'd be back-to-back weeks. We would play the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'd have to see with the week 18 game. It's so weird saying week 18, what that game would even look like. But yeah, I would not be super excited. So yeah, I mean, NFC picture, I'd have Packers clear 1, and then I'd probably have Cowboys Bucks like 2A, 2B.
Yep.
Depending on just the Cowboys' history of fumbling the bag in games that they need to win. And obviously Tom Brady still there, skeleton crew, but I mean, he had Antonio Brown was hitting him. So we got to see how that works out. But I think they're that close. It's scary to think that the Cowboys, Aaron Rodgers does like to lose those NFC title games. So I kind of hope it doesn't happen, but I mean, we had to see like some crazy, like we still have 2 weeks of football left, like some crazy shit could happen in the next 2 weeks with any of these teams. But the Cowboys, they're in a very good spot, trending upwards, took care of business. I like where they're at on both sides of the ball for sure. Just one little last thing, since it's kind of relevant, the NFL announced today, the Players Association and the NFL, they came to an agreement with they're following the CDC, the new guidelines of the 5-day quarantine. If you test positive for COVID and you're asymptomatic, I believe that's regardless of vaccination status. So the unvaxxed players, they would be able to, if they can, I believe it's test negative and have no symptoms, they would be able to come back 5 days instead of 10 days, which is big because if you had a guy that tests positive Monday, he's missing the Sunday game, no doubt. Now that leaves it open that you have a guy test positive Monday and then test negative Saturday, and he's good to go. So, I mean, what do you make of that? It seems like it was eventually going to come to that, right? Because we were really trending towards COVID was going to ruin the playoffs. Like I kept saying it.
Yep.
The past couple of weeks, I was like, the playoffs are going to get ruined by COVID. Like I just see it. I see it. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes COVID. Missed the divisional round, or Aaron Rodgers is immunized, but just like, yeah, bad example. Forget that example. Throw that out. But just somebody, right? Like it was trending towards playoffs were going to be ruined, and the NFL, they kind of had to do something, and it's so funny. I mean, I think eventually you give it 2 or 3 months and there's going to be no quarantine time. That's just where we're trending as a country. But what do you make of the NFL like rolling with that? It seemed like they had to do something with the ridiculous wave of COVID's been on a hot streak. It went to the film room. The Delta variant got washed out. The Omicron came in and they were watching the film. And it's just taken out all the sports right now. So, I mean, what do you make of the NFL deciding to go with the 5-day quarantine instead of the old 10-day?
I think it's a good move for the product, right? Like you said, they're worried about players missing for the playoffs, and it's not just the NFL, right? We've seen the NBA, NHL straight up cancel games for a few days. So it's like we're seeing all these leagues getting ravaged by COVID, and the NFL being America's #1 and the playoffs approaching very fast. They had to do something. And we'll already see it happen this week, right? We talked about earlier, Carson Wentz tested positive, but since it's 5 days now, he has a chance to play Sunday against the Raiders still. So we'll see how this plays out. It's probably a smart move for the league because they need to keep their better players on the field.
Yep. Like I told somebody when they announced it, he was like, they don't care about health. And I was like, yeah, these are billion-dollar businesses, right? Like they care about the health until it affects the wallets. Once it starts affecting the wallets, then bang, they're going to find a way around it.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's what it looks like. Yeah. The NHL, they're in a little bit dicier situation with 7 or 8 teams in Canada, and Canada doesn't give a shit. They'll close the borders and then you got to worry about scheduling games. Yeah. When teams can't get to Canada, same with the NBA, right? The NFL is lucky where they have every team in the United States. So they don't have a situation where the NBA has the Toronto Raptors who they could close down the borders. as well. And then you got to worry about moving them around. So, I mean, yeah, it was a logical move. The playoffs were going to be ruined if they didn't do something. So, I mean, maybe I'm selfishly happy as we continue to spike in cases. But yeah, any other tidbits to kind of wrap this up? We kind of kept it rolling for a bit now. Any closing thoughts? We'll obviously hop over. I'll pull up this is where we're sitting. We missed obviously last week, so the spreads did not get updated, but our total records are now up to date from the past 2 weeks. And then this is week 16's picks of how we fared. You've kind of put yourself back into the ball game. Mono with John, and with 2 weeks ago, I need a Hail Mary like Aaron Rodgers to kind of get myself back into play. But I'm still in play for over 500, so that was the ultimate goal, I would say.
Yeah, that was my ultimate goal. And now I'm right here, one game behind John. So I'm very happy with this. I had 2 good weeks in a row. I'm going to sound like a bitch, but all 4 of my picks that I got wrong, I want to complain about. Chargers shouldn't have lost to the Texans. Falcons gave up a field goal at the end. Packers' second half was atrocious. And then the Niners choked away a 10-point lead on the road. So I don't know. I can't complain. 11-4, right? But those 4 were annoying.
You can thank Jimmy G, man. I wouldn't even say the 49ers. Jimmy G.
True.
Said that dude's a bum. Crazy thing is he's going to fetch a good pick. He's also probably going to be on the market, obviously.
Hey, not to like circle back around, but like that would be an improvement for Cleveland. I would think that they'd be better with Jimmy than Baker.
Yeah, I mean, he should. When he's healthy, he can spin the rock. Problem is he gets hurt again. So it's like, what is his?
Yeah.
And a throwing hand thumb injury. It's like, it's kind of tough. Like he was building his stock back up and then he gets hurt. Yeah. But I mean, what did I pull? A 9-6 week 15. Thank God we don't have to pull that up. But that was that was a 6-8, but it felt like a 2-12 week. It was ugly. I was traveling back home. So obviously that's why we missed that post. But yeah, I mean, I gotta pull something out of the hat. I gotta have a near perfect week and have you guys really screw it up. Probably unlikely, but hey, if I can get over 500 for the year, I will. I'll take that because obviously it's just for fun at the end of the day. It's the first time I would assume any of us have ever done something like this. So 2 weeks to go on that front. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, right there with you. Excited for this weekend. We'll jump into the preview. There's some good matchups coming up. Everything's on the line, so it's gonna be fun.
Facts. So yeah, I mean that's gonna do it for this episode. We'll wrap this one up. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Obviously, I said Browns fans comment. Who's the quarterback to replace Baker? If you want Baker out that bad, who is the guy? Who's your guy to come in and replace him right away with that roster? Right. As always, yeah, the Spotify link will be in the description. It will be uploaded at the same time this video goes live. And yeah, thanks for listening. And yeah, we'll be live on the week 17 preview later this week.